What's up everyone, this is Wolfpack Wargaming coming at you with an introduction to Warhammer 40k. Now Warhammer 40k has been around for a long time, and recently, here in the last couple of months, a new edition has come out. We are now in the 8th edition of Warhammer 40k, and it's quite a bit different. It's quite a leap from 7th edition. I think it helps improve some of the problems that 7th edition had, and particularly as 7th edition was getting near its end of life cycle, it was very bloated as far as there were a lot of rules. And so 8th edition cleaned up a lot of stuff, and I'm pretty excited to talk about it. So let me explain a little bit what this small video series is intended to be. First of all, I am not an expert in Warhammer 40k. I do enjoy playing it, and of course, as you've seen from the channel, it's probably the primary game that I do play. But this video series is really all about just an introduction of how to play, what you need, and where to get started. So as I said in the introduction, this is all about Warhammer 40k 8th edition, and we're going to learn how to play. So let's start by talking about what do you need to play this game. So if you're new to Warhammer 40k, you've heard about it, then this is a great place to start to see, well, what is it that you need to pick up to get started in this game. So where do we get started with Warhammer 40k 8th edition? Well, the first thing that you're going to need, of course, is the rule book. That is the 8th edition rulebook for Warhammer 40k, and you can get it in hardback copy right now individually, but one of the best ways, particularly if you're getting into Warhammer 40k for the first time, is to pick it up in the new starter set. So here's the starter set for Warhammer 40k 8th edition. It's Dark Imperium. You'll see it says box set. It's going to come with 2 small armies in it, both Space Marines as well as Death Guard, which is Chaos Space Marines. And it also comes with the rulebook, the one that I just showed you here, this hardback rulebook, which is pretty cool. I don't believe Games Workshop has ever had a starter set come with the actual hardback rulebook inside of it. So here you can just kind of see a brief view of the back of the box there. And you can see it comes with quite a few models, some really cool models, in fact some new ones specific to this box set. It's also a really good deal. It's a great value for how many models you're getting as well as the rule book. I think you can find it online for somewhere around $130 or so. I think it retails at about $160. But as far as the models that come with it as well as the rule book itself, it's definitely a great value and a great place to start if you're just getting into 40k. Now that box set I just showed you is going to come with a couple small codexes for the models that are in the box set, which will get you started to play. So if you're not sure if you want to get fully into this game and you just want to test it out, well, you can get the rule book, you can get those models, and then they're going to give you rules for those models to get you started playing with. So here are those small little codexes that come with that box set to get you started. But if you're interested in playing Warhammer 40k on a larger scale, which we'll talk about as we get into the rules, you're actually going to need a different set of codexes for the armies that you're playing with. Now, of course, there's tons of different factions that you can play in Warhammer 40k. There are Demons, Space Marines, Grey Knights, Imperial Knights, Eldar, Tyranids, and of course my favorite, Orcs. So what army do you start with? Well, the army you start with is whichever one you really think is coolest. I would recommend that. Whether it looks cool or you read the story behind the army or the faction and you relate to it, you think it's fun, I would say go with that one. If you're just starting out, I wouldn't be too concerned about whether a faction is more competitive than another. And quite honestly, we're so new into this new edition, it's hard to say which factions are going to be the most powerful at this time because there's so much change going on right now. It's really hard to tell. So after you've got the starter set, or maybe you didn't even get the starter set, you just got the rule book and you're trying to pick out your army. After you've done that, the other thing you're going to need to do is get the rules for that army, and I mentioned that each army has a codex. Well, because we're so new into this 8th edition, each individual faction, they don't have their own codex just yet. Some of them do, and as you're watching this video, just check online because maybe they're all out at this point. So one of the things Games Workshop did as they released 8th edition is they created what's called indexes. There are 5 indexes, and these house all the rules to all of the current factions. Inside these 5 indexes, you're going to find all of the rules to all the current factions, including Chaos, Xenos, and Imperium. So Each unit for every faction, including their points values, can be found in these books. If we look inside one of these codexes, you'll see a unit as well as their power level, all of their abilities, and everything you need to play the game. And then in the very back, what you're also going to find is their points value when you play match play. And we'll talk about what the difference is between their power level and then their points value for match play, because it's just different ways of playing Warhammer 40k. If you're just getting into the game, you can get these indexes for really cheap. Normally a codex will go for around $50 US. These indexes go for probably about 20 bucks. You can find them, and it's a great value because they have rules for more than one faction in each of the indexes. So if you're just a casual gamer and you're just trying to get into, check out Warhammer 40k, and maybe you're not even quite sure what army you want, getting these indexes can be a great way of kind of trying out the different armies for sort of a low cost entry value. Now, if you are going all in Warhammer 40k, you've selected the army that you're really going to build up, then you do want to look out for the actual codex. Now, Games Workshop, as 8th edition has gone on, different codexes have come out. So the first one here was actually the Space Marines Codex. Now they were in the index here, this Imperium 1 index. You can see that they had Space Marines, but since then the actual codex has come out. You will see that there are differences in points values as well as some of the rules in this book as you'd find in this book. So if you're wanting to play like in a tournament or match play, or at the store, you're going to probably have to play with the most updated rule set, and in this case it would be from the Space Marine Codex. But this is $50, this is $20, so if you're just trying to check out the army to kind of see how it plays and just to have fun, you may want to go with the index versus the actual codex. So just to give you a quick sneak peek of a codex, again this is the Space Marine Codex. The difference between this and the index, you'll see that there's a lot more illustrations. There's going to be a lot of background and stories regarding the Space Marines, but the units are still in this book, as well as their points values and their match play values in the very back. So this will give you everything you need to play Space Marines. Okay, so you've got your rule book, you've got your index or codex, and you've got some models to play with. What else do you need to get started with Warhammer 40k? Well, some of the other things that are going to be really important to you is something like a ruler. Now, if you get the starter set, it will come with this little ruler here, but of course, like a thing of measuring tape is going to work really well too. The other thing, of course, you're going to need are dice. Now, those are the dice that will come in the starter set. And Warhammer 40k requires quite a bit of dice, particularly with armies that have lots of attacks, whether shooting or in close combat. So you may also want to get a thing of like 32 or 36 D6 dice like that. And one of the last things you're going to need, of course, is a place to play. Now, Warhammer 40k is typically played on a 6x4 foot mat or table area, but when you're starting out, you can really just find any kind of clean space on a table. You don't need 6x4 feet, you're just learning to play, which is totally fine. Of course, you're also going to set up with some terrain. There are lots of options out there to build terrain. You can get Games Workshop product. There's also a lot of companies that make MDF terrain for pretty cheap. But if you're just starting out, it really doesn't hurt to just throw some Kleenex boxes down or a garbage can or something like that to block some line of sight, have some fun with it. Building your own terrain is a blast. You can find some of the videos on my channel even that show you some real cheap ways of making fun terrain. Well, that's going to be it for this video. This is going to be a short series that will introduce how to play Warhammer 40k. This video was to just get you started with what items you need to start playing. The next video will actually be digging into the rulebook and looking at the rules of how do you play Warhammer 40k 8th edition. So if you're new to the game or you're just trying to check out Warhammer, stick around, stay tuned for some of the rules. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button. And if you want to stay up to date with Wolfpack Wargaming, go ahead and hit the subscribe button.